Ralph Lauren Home Classic Elegance Americana meets vintage aesthetic. Welcome to this tutorial on creating a Ralph Lauren Home Classic Elegance that perfectly blends Americana with vintage charm. Today, you'll learn how to bring this timeless and sophisticated aesthetic into your living space through carefully chosen colors, furniture, textiles, and decor. Let's dive into the step-by-step process to achieve this iconic look. This style is all about merging traditional Americana warmth with elegant vintage details, creating a cozy yet refined atmosphere. By combining muted color palettes, rich textures, and classic accessories, you can evoke that signature Ralph Lauren vibe that feels both historic and inviting. Stay tuned as we break down each element to transform your home. Introduction to Ralph Lauren Classic Elegance. Ralph Lauren Classic Elegance centers on timeless design principles emphasizing balance, warmth, and sophistication. Start by selecting foundational pieces that emphasize quality craftsmanship and traditional styles like leather chairs, wood finishes, and tailored upholstery. Focus on maintaining simplicity while layering luxurious elements to avoid clutter. To enhance this elegance, incorporate vintage-inspired accents and patterns such as damasks, plaids, or stripes that complement your furniture. Avoid overly modern or trendy items that disrupt the classic feel. Thoughtful placement and restrained use of accessories keep the space inviting yet refined. Use high-quality materials like leather, solid wood, and natural fibers to ensure your space ages gracefully over time. Understanding the Americana meets vintage aesthetic. Americana meets vintage is about combining nostalgic, patriotic elements with classic vintage styles. Use colors inspired by the American flag, deep reds, navy blues, and creamy whites, along with vintage patterns like quilting and woven textiles. This creates a warm, lived-in look that honors tradition and craftsmanship. To maintain balance, blend Americana motifs subtly, such as with vintage signage, flags, or rustic wood accents, rather than overpowering the room. Layer these with refined antique furniture and elegant lighting for that polished vintage appeal. This mix brings a unique character that feels authentic and timeless. Mix well-worn textures with polished finishes to keep the Americana vibe comfortable yet sophisticated. Step 1. Selecting your color palette. Begin by choosing a muted, warm color palette that forms the foundation of your Ralph Lauren Americana style. Creams, soft beiges, navy blues, deep reds, and hunter greens work best to evoke classic elegance with vintage warmth. These tones should harmonize and create a cozy but sophisticated atmosphere. Use the colors in layers, paint walls in neutrals, add furniture in deeper hues, and accent with red or green accessories. Avoid bright or overly saturated colors, which clash with the understated vintage vibe. Keeping your palette consistent allows different elements to blend seamlessly. Test paint swatches in natural light to ensure colors look warm and inviting throughout the day. using muted neutrals for timeless elegance. Muted neutrals like soft beiges, creams, and warm grays form the backbone of the Ralph Lauren aesthetic. Start with these shades for walls, larger furniture pieces, and rugs to create an understated, elegant backdrop that never goes out of style. These tones also allow other colors and textures to stand out beautifully. To keep the space from feeling flat, layer different shades of neutrals through pillows, throws, and curtains. Use natural materials like linen or cotton in these colors to enhance the soft, inviting feel. This neutral base works well year-round and adapts easily to changing trends. Combine matte and slightly textured neutrals to add depth without overwhelming the space. Incorporating navy, deep reds, and hunter greens. Introduce rich accent colors like navy, deep reds, and hunter greens to add warmth and Americana character. These tones can appear in upholstered furniture, accent walls, or decorative pieces, such as pillows and vases. They create a strong, elegant contrast against neutral bases. When using these bold colors, balance them by limiting their presence to key pieces or accents. For example, a hunter green armchair or navy curtains can become statement elements without overpowering the room. This approach keeps the space classic and visually interesting. Use these colors and patterns or textured fabrics to enhance visual richness. Step 2. Choosing key furniture pieces. Focus on timeless, quality furniture that anchors your space with classic lines and craftsmanship. Look for pieces with dark wood finishes, leather upholstery, and traditional silhouettes to embody the Ralph Lauren home style. Prioritize comfort and durability to maintain elegance over time. Avoid overly modern or minimalist pieces that conflict with the vintage Americana vibe. Instead, choose furniture with carved details, brass hardware, or turned legs for authentic character. Mixing a few statement vintage pieces with more neutral furniture balances the room beautifully. Invest in timeless pieces that can be reupholstered or refinished to adapt as your style evolves. Finding vintage-inspired wooden furniture. Seek out wooden furniture with rich, dark finishes such as mahogany, walnut, or cherry to evoke classic Americana charm. Look for details like hand-carved accents, turned legs, and panel designs which add vintage authenticity. These pieces provide warmth and grounding to your decor. Antique shops, estate sales, and quality reproduction furniture are great sources. Pair wooden dressers or cabinets with brass or leather details to increase the classic feel. Regular polishing keeps the wood looking rich and well cared for. Combine different wood tones thoughtfully to add depth, but avoid clashing finishes. Adding leather sofas and armchairs. Leather furniture is a cornerstone of classic elegance and Americana style. Choose sofas or armchairs in warm brown or deep cognac tones with a slightly worn or distressed finish for authentic vintage appeal. Look for tufted or studded details to increase the luxurious look. Leather is durable and ages beautifully, adding character over time. Pair leather furniture with soft textiles and patterned cushions to soften the look and add comfort. Maintain leather with appropriate cleaners and conditioners to keep it supple and rich. Mix leather with warm wood tones and brass accents for a cohesive, upscale look. Classic tufted and wingback chairs. Tufted sofas and wingback chairs evoke timeless sophistication and are essential to the Ralph Lauren aesthetic. Their structured shapes and detailing create a polished yet inviting seating area. Opt for fabrics in neutral or rich jewel tones to complement your palette. Wingback chairs can serve as elegant statement pieces in corners or near fireplaces. Tufted furniture adds texture and depth, especially in velvet or leather. Pair them with patterned pillows or throws to complete the look. Choose classic patterns like herringbone or subtle plaids for upholstery to enhance vintage charm. Step 3. Incorporating textiles and patterns. Textiles bring warmth and visual interest to your Ralph Lauren Americana style. Incorporate classic patterns such as plaids, stripes, and floral damasks in cushions, curtains, and upholstery. These patterns complement vintage furniture and add a layered, cozy feel. Mixing patterns requires balancing scale and color. Pair larger florals with smaller stripes or plaids, ensuring the colors coordinate well. Use neutral backgrounds to prevent patterns from overwhelming the space. Throw pillows or blankets with subtle fringe or tassels for added texture and Americana flair. Using plaids, stripes, and floral damasks. Plaids evoke classic Americana, stripes add structure, and floral damasks bring vintage elegance. Use plaids on throws or cushions for a cozy feel, stripes for drapery or upholstery, and damasks for accent pieces like pillows. These patterns layer well and evoke history. To blend these patterns smoothly, select a unifying color palette so they complement rather than clash. Vary pattern sizes and mix textures to add dimension. This creates a sophisticated, lived-in look true to the Ralph Lauren style. Balance bold patterns with solid colors to prevent visual clutter. Adding velvet, linen, and wool textures. Velvet, linen, and wool add tactile richness and depth to your Americana vintage space. Velvet cushions or upholstery create luxurious softness, while linen curtains or throws add breathability and casual elegance. Wool rugs or blankets provide warmth and texture. Mix these textures to avoid monotony. Pair velvet pillows with linen drapes and a wool rug to engage multiple senses. Natural fibers also fit the vintage Americana ethos of durability and comfort. Rotate or layer textiles seasonally for fresh looks. Choose deep jewel tones in velvet to highlight elegance without overwhelming the palette. Americana-inspired quilted and woven fabrics. Quilted and woven fabrics are a hallmark of Americana style and bring handcrafted authenticity. Use quilts as throws on sofas or beds and woven baskets or wall hangings to add texture and heritage. These elements evoke warmth and history naturally. Look for fabrics with traditional patterns like stars, stripes, or patchwork that reflect patriotic motifs. Layer these with classic furniture and modern neutrals for balance. Handmade or vintage pieces increase authenticity and storytelling. Quilts with subtle distressing to highlight vintage charm. Step 4. Adding signature decor elements. Signature decor pieces bring personality and depth to your Ralph Lauren Americana vintage space. Use antiques, vintage books, brass candlesticks, and Americana memorabilia to make the space uniquely yours. These elements add layers of history and elegance. Select items thoughtfully to avoid clutter, focusing on quality over quantity. Display collections on open shelves or coffee tables to create visual interest and conversation starters. Rotate pieces seasonally to refresh the room. Use vintage leather-bound books as both decor and a nod to Americana tradition. Using brass and antique finish hardware. Brass and antique finish hardware add timeless elegance and authenticity to furniture and fixtures. Choose drawer pulls, knobs, and lamp bases in warm brass tones to complement wood finishes and vintage styles. These subtle touches elevate the overall aesthetic. Consider mixing finishes with care. Aged brass pairs well with dark woods and leather. Avoid shiny, modern metals that break the vintage vibe. Regular polishing keeps brass looking warm and inviting without dullness. Use brass hardware on unexpected places like picture frames or trays for subtle cohesion. Displaying vintage Americana accents. Select vintage Americana accents such as old signs, flags, and antique tools to infuse character into your space. Place these accents strategically on shelves, mantels, or side tables to tell a story and enhance the nostalgic vibe. Keep the display balanced to avoid clutter. Rotate pieces seasonally or swap items to keep the decor fresh and engaging. Incorporate small Americana-themed objects like vintage postcards or tin containers to add subtle touches throughout the room. These elements help deepen the vintage ambience authentically. Use shadow boxes to showcase small Americana collectibles elegantly. Framing patriotic and vintage artwork. Choose artwork that reflects Americana themes such as vintage maps, flags, and classic portraits. Frame them in aged wood or distressed metal frames to enhance the vintage feel. Position art thoughtfully to create focal points in your space. Gallery walls work well when curated with a mix of sizes and frame styles. Use muted matting to unify diverse pieces and prevent overwhelming the eye. Rotate or swap artwork occasionally for variety and seasonal updates. Include vintage typography prints or antique advertisements for authentic Americana flair. Step 5. Layering with accessories. Add dimension and personality to your Ralph Lauren inspired space. Layer classic ceramics, blue and white porcelain, and vintage books on tables and shelves for a curated, lived-in feel. Vary heights and textures to create visual interest. Personal treasures or antiques to make the space feel truly yours. Group similar items in odd numbers for a balanced, natural look. Keep accessory arrangements neat but inviting to avoid clutter. Use trays or wooden boxes to corral smaller accessories and keep surfaces organized. classic ceramics and blue and white porcelain. Blue and white porcelain is a signature accent in Ralph Lauren Americana decor. Display classic ceramic vases, jars, and plates on shelves or mantels to add elegance and heritage. Their intricate patterns create a timeless focal point. Mix porcelain with natural elements like wood or linen to soften the look. Use pieces of varying sizes and shapes for a dynamic display. Keep the arrangement cohesive by limiting colors to blues, whites, and neutrals. Porcelain accessories with subtle distressing for authentic vintage appeal. Adding candle holders and glass decanters. Candle holders and glass decanters add warmth and elegance to your Americana vintage space. Use brass or crystal holders on mantels, dining tables, or sideboards to create a cozy, refined atmosphere. Decanters add sophistication and a touch of classic luxury. Vary the height and style of candle holders to create a layered lighting effect. Clean glass regularly to maintain sparkle and use unscented candles to keep focus on ambience. Group decanters and glasses on trays for organized elegance. Choose candles in neutral tones to complement your color palette and avoid overpowering scents. Incorporating natural elements like dried flowers. Natural elements such as dried flowers and grasses enhance the vintage Americana warmth. Arrange them in classic ceramic or glass vases for a rustic, timeless touch. These organic accents add softness and texture to your interiors. Choose muted colors like cream, soft browns, and faded greens to complement your neutral palette. Combine dried florals with fresh greenery seasonally to keep your space lively. Avoid overly bright or synthetic-looking arrangements to maintain authenticity. Use vintage or rustic containers like old pitchers or jars for your dried flower arrangements. Step 6. Focusing on lighting. Lighting sets the mood and highlights your classic Americana style. Choose warm, soft lighting that enhances the vintage ambience without harshness. Use layered light sources such as chandeliers, table lamps, and sconces to create depth. Opt for bulbs with a warm color temperature, 2700 K to 3000 K, for inviting glow. Position lighting to accentuate artwork, furniture, and textiles. Use dimmers to adjust lighting levels for different moods and occasions. Vintage-inspired fixtures like Edison bulbs or lantern-style lamps for authenticity. Choosing warm, soft vintage lighting. Select lighting fixtures with classic designs, such as brass chandeliers, lanterns, or lamps with fabric shades. Warm, soft light enhances the cozy vintage aesthetic and complements wood and leather furniture. Avoid harsh LEDs or overly bright lighting. Layer lighting sources by combining overhead, task, and accent lights. Use lampshades in warm hues or natural fibers to diffuse light gently. Regularly clean fixtures to keep light warm and inviting. Choose bulbs with a slightly amber tint to replicate vintage incandescent lighting. Using fabric lampshades and dimmers. Fabric lampshades in natural fibers like linen or burlap soften light and add texture. Choose neutral or warm tones that blend with your color palette and complement vintage furniture. Paired with dimmers, they allow flexible ambience control. Install dimmer switches to adjust brightness for reading, relaxing, or entertaining. This enhances the room's versatility and highlights key design elements softly. Dimmed lighting brings out the richness of textures and colors in your decor. Use layered lighting with dimmers to create cozy zones within large rooms. Step 7. Final touches for authenticity. Finish your Ralph Lauren Americana space by adding personal and authentic touches like vintage clocks, leather-bound books, and heirloom textiles. These elements tie the entire room together and reflect your unique story. Subtle wear and patina add charm and character. Avoid over-accessorizing. Focus on a few meaningful pieces to maintain elegance and clarity. Keep the space functional and inviting while celebrating vintage Americana heritage. Regularly update or rotate accents to keep the space fresh and engaging. Items with natural patina to enhance vintage authenticity. Thank you for watching Elle's Decor Studio, where luxury lives in the details. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more high-end inspiration every week. Until we meet again, elevate every corner and live with elegance.